Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a business story you probably think you know, Blockbuster versus Netflix. But we're going to go way beyond the simple DVDs versus streaming narrative to find out why a multi-billion-dollar empire was brought down by an idea its own CEO literally laughed at.
See, this story isn't just about a technology shift. Not really. When you boil it all down, it's about two companies that were in the exact same business, but they saw that business in two completely different ways. On one side, you've got Blockbuster. Their business was built on physical stuff and, crucially, on punishing you for being late. But on the other side, you have Netflix. Their business was built on one thing: convenience, on removing every single annoying part of the process. And that difference in perspective, well, that was everything. To really get what happened, you have to understand just how enormous Blockbuster was. I mean, they didn't just compete in the home video market, they were the market. They absolutely owned the entire space.
The scale here is it's hard to even wrap your head around. At their peak in the early 2000s, Blockbuster had over 9,000 stores all over the world. To put that in perspective, that's more locations than McDonald's had in the US at the time. They had 65 million customers. This was a true blue empire.
And this number? $800 million. You know what that is? That's how much Blockbuster made every single year from late fees alone. Just think about that for a second. They were making almost $1 billion a year from the single most annoying part of their customer experience. This wasn't a bug in their system, it was a core feature of their business. And man, did they grow fast. It all started in 1985 with a pretty revolutionary idea for the time, using barcodes to manage a giant library, which just crushed all the smaller mom-and-pop shops. Then, this guy Wayne Huizenga takes over and goes on an insane expansion spree, opening a new store almost every single day. It all leads up to 1994, when Viacom buys them for a whopping $8.4 billion. By 1997, Blockbuster was, without a doubt, on top of the world.
Okay, so Blockbuster is sitting on top of the world, right? But at that exact same moment, a new idea was bubbling up. An idea that wasn't about building a better store, but about creating a totally different and way better experience.
Now, the Netflix origin story is the stuff of legend. The story goes that Reed Hastings gets hit with a $40 late fee for the movie Apollo 13, and bam, the light bulb goes off. The entire concept for Netflix was born directly from the exact pain point that Blockbuster considered one of its biggest moneymakers.
So this all leads us to a single moment in the year 2000, a meeting that has gone down as one of the biggest what-ifs in business history. The little startup, which was burning through cash, decides to go talk to the giant.
$50 million. That was the price Reed Hastings went to Blockbuster and offered them the whole company. The deal was simple. Netflix would become Blockbuster.com and run their entire online business for them.
And what did Blockbuster do? They didn't just say no. The story goes, they practically laughed Reed Hastings out of the room. I mean, you can kind of see it from their side. They looked at this tiny, unprofitable startup mailing DVDs and just couldn't imagine how it could ever threaten their 9,000-store empire. It's the textbook definition of corporate arrogance.
So the question is, why? Why on earth did they turn down what was, in hindsight, the deal of the century? A deal that could have saved the whole company? Well, the answer goes deep. It was a kind of blindness that was baked right into the company's DNA.
This table just lays it all out perfectly. Look at Blockbuster. They thought they were in the business of renting you physical things. But Netflix, they knew they were in the business of providing convenient access to entertainment. Blockbuster's relationship with you is transactional, even punishing. Netflix built its entire model on subscription and loyalty. And here's the big one: innovation. For Blockbuster, it was a threat to their stores and late fees. For Netflix, innovation was the whole point.
And on top of all of that, Blockbuster had a massive money problem. After Viacom spun them off, they were stuck with a huge amount of debt. This led to what you might call innovation paralysis. The company was basically set up to be a cash cow, just keep pumping out steady profits. And when you're structured that way, you can't take a big, risky bet on some unproven online thing.
So from that one meeting in 2000, the two companies just went in completely opposite directions. And the speed at which it all happened is, well, it's just breathtaking.
Just look at this timeline. It tells the whole story. In 2004, Blockbuster hits its biggest revenue year ever, but its online service is already years late to the party. Then, 2007, this is the killer blow. Netflix launches streaming. While Blockbuster was still trying to fight the last war, the DVD war, Netflix was already winning the next one. Just 3 years after that, Blockbuster was bankrupt. And the final movie ever rented from a corporate-owned store? This is the end. I mean, you literally can't make this stuff up.
And the financials? They tell the exact same dramatic story. You see Blockbuster just collapsing under more than $900 million in debt. At the same time, Netflix was already profitable and taking off like a rocket. It's a classic story of a giant crumbling under its own weight while a smaller, faster rival just changes the whole game.
So what's the ultimate takeaway from this whole epic saga? Why are we still talking about it all these years later? Well, because the lessons here are absolutely timeless.
First, real disruption doesn't show up with a big flashing sign. It usually starts small and looks kind of unimpressive. Second, customer experience is king. If you can solve your customer's biggest frustration, you build a kind of loyalty that technology alone can't touch. Third, you have to innovate before you're forced to, because by the time the threat is staring you in the face, it's almost always too late. And finally, being adaptable, that's the ultimate superpower in a world that's always changing.
And that really just brings us back to the core idea, doesn't it? Blockbuster sold you a product, a physical thing in a plastic case. Netflix understood that what people really wanted wasn't the thing, it was the experience. They sold you back your Saturday night. They sold you peace of mind, convenience, and time.
Ultimately, it all boils down to this one simple but really profound question. Answering it correctly was the difference between becoming a global entertainment powerhouse and becoming a single, nostalgic tourist attraction in Bend, Oregon. It's a question every business, and maybe every one of us, should probably ask a little more often.